everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I am here today with my latest journal to do a flip through. So if you are seeing this video, that means this journal is now up in my Etsy shop, which is linked below. So this journal I am calling Willa Still because we have W Still here. And I love this cabinet card because it says Opposite Mill Street, Orangeville, Ontario. So this was a cabinet card. It's an original cabinet card that I modified for I want to say a shabby creep, maybe? I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe it was Junk Journal Mayhem. Yeah, and I added these plants here that are dried and sealed and gilded a little. This whole thing has been bradded on, and I just love the shape of this cabinet card. It's really fun. Then I've added this little metal journal label. It's like in a brassy tone with some natural paper inside. There's some stitching up along the sides, and this is a brass metal closure with this mordanted, beautiful kind of rugged tie that I made from a cotton apron. Then the spine is handmade. I made a large, big spine for this. It is a hard, flexible spine. So what that means is it has soft sections here. So this is eco-printed dyed silk. And you can see a bit of plant leafiness, but also you can still see like the damask kind of texture of the fabric. And then I also did a little spine dangle, sort of a natural feeling one. So there are two gusset loops that I stitched on here with this jute. So there are strips of jute, hand-dyed yarn, eco-printed cotton, and it's just a really nice feeling kind of spine dangle. Hidden hollow back spine. On back we have, this is the original front of this book. It was called America's Wonderland, and it had this beautiful gilding on it, but it wasn't necessarily like enough for me to kind of pop on the front of a journal cover, but I like it for the back. So I flipped it around. I've covered with handmade paper in a rustic way this side, because I had to flip directions of the cover. Stitching here as well, and the same kind of closure on back. You'll see here on the edge we have lots of tabs and things, all sorts of things coming out. This is 8 signatures, and you see there are some chains that are hanging from the bottom here. This is on a piece of ephemera. So let's get into this book. This has, so I have 2 books that both have kind of like a cottage nature notes kind of theme. So this one is Willa Still. This is her nature note kind of book. So we open it up, and these are the end papers that I used. These are just beautiful kind of, I felt like they could be kind of a cottage cupboard. They're from the Manor collection by 49 in Market, maybe? No, not them. Someone else. I forget the name. And then this is a lovely butterfly sort of postcard that was on the back of a magazine, a vintage magazine called Fleur. Then this piece is one that I made from some packaging. So you see that envelope there. This is lots of fabric and jute and stitching and all sorts of things going on. And then this little journal card of this flicker woodpecker goes right inside here. And this is actually just a flip, and it has handmade paper on back. Then we have a little tuck spot here. I used a woodland collection of paper in this book. And it's really pretty. And then this is some lovely mushroom paper as well. I've used lots of paper collections in this book, so I'm not even going to get started. I didn't use any digitals. I'd thought about it, but then I ended up not using digitals. I really went to my scrapbook papers and my books. So this is from a vintage book of this little gopher, and that is a journal, stationary kind of journal card. I was so happy to find him because I saw 2 hilarious gophers this week, or groundhogs. Then we have this fox. He's looking at a little chipmunk there. And inside we have this beautiful deer. This is also from a vintage, this is all vintage books. All of the ephemeras like this is from vintage books. This is some hand-dyed ledger paper. Some green ledger paper with a little botanical frame down here. We have a bird and some raspberries and a trillium and acorns. And then inside we have this lovely little piece of stationery. This is a vellum map that came from an old book. And this is from a vintage bird book of the olive-sided flycatcher and the horned lark. Eco-printed fabric on hand-dyed ledger paper. More hand-dyed paper. And then this lovely little insert in the center of the first signature. More hand-dyed ledger with some fun vintage, very thin kind of cloth. And the brown cap chickadee and other chickadees. More of that little map there. And this is a little tab here with a bit of writing space on the ledger paper. To look at anything, if you would know that thing, you must look at it long to look at this green and say, I have seen some spring in these woods. Will not do. You must be the thing you see. You must be the dark snakes of stems and fairy plumes of leaves. You must enter in to the small silences between the leaves. You must take your time and touch the very piece they issue from. John Moffat. And some more hand-dyed ledger paper. This is a skunk up here, this tuck spot, doing its, I'm scary, get away from me kind of little dance. And this is from a lovely book, and it's these beautiful ducks, and it's blank on back, so lots of writing space. Then paper clipped on here is this large envelope that I made. This is from a digital concept art collection that I did, and I've also added some of the little bits and bobs from the woodland paper collection. That's the back, these beautiful owls, and this does open. It's like one of those kind of office policy envelopes or something. And inside I've left it empty so that you can stick something in there. And that just clips up here. It's got leaves stitched on. It's a lot of fun. Then this is some of my watercolor eco-printed paper with leaves. This is a little botanical book page. Some duck fabric here. And inside we have this fun stationery that's from the fly page of a book. And I just love the illustrations. They're beautiful. Blank on back for writing space. The paper looks kind of like water, and it's actually a large envelope. So here we have a little tuck spot made from a vintage book about trees. And then this flap comes up, and inside the tuck spot, a couple things. This is from last month's journal together kit that I did on my Patreon. And then we have this old map from a book. And those just both tuck on in here. And inside here we have this beautiful Curator's Collection paper from 49 and Market. Great to write on the back. And just a nice big, it's like a heavy weight, not like super heavy, but heavier than your normal kind of scrapbooking paper, the heavier scrapbooking paper. Hand-dyed paper with a hand-dyed batik tab. This is from the Language of Flowers. Then over here we have a couple pockets, like a tuck spot with this little weasel looking through a tree, and then this little tag. It's got this bird flying over a fence, and one of Release the Crafton's little labels there from her moth kit. And then we have this little chipmunk eating corn. Oh, and behind it, it says Introduction. It has that beautiful flower there. That's from the Language of Flowers. A little flower there on some of my basket weave hand-dyed paper. This pocket up here with some acorns and oak leaves on brown paper with some morning glories and leaves on this journal card. More hand-dyed paper. This is a tiny cabinet card here. I thought that could be another little, image of Willa. And it's on this beautiful paper that was gifted to me from my friend Heather. And then this is actually from my Journal Together kit from last month. And it's all these leaves that I painted. It's on the back of some gardening, themed stationery paper that's really nice brown speckly paper. And then this is the back side of that beautiful paper, and I thought it really fit in with like the cottagey nature notes kind of theme. And then this is a tuck spot here of a little girl blowing a dandelion. The dandelion parachute is beautifully designed to carry the fruit away on the lightest breeze. See how far you can blow the fruits with a single puff. And then this is a journal card that I need to cover this little bit here. I will do that right after I finish this video. I meant to do that because I was using the last bit of that folder to back it. So I'll just put a little bookmark in here and I will finish that up. The magic seeds. There was an old woman who sowed a corn seed, and from it there sprouted a tall yellow weed. She planted the seeds of the tall yellow flower, and up sprang a blue one in less than an hour. The seed of the blue one she sowed in a bed, and up sprang a tall tree with blossoms of red. High in the treetop there sang a white bird, and his song was the sweetest that ever was heard. The people, they came from far and from near, the song of the little white bird for to hear. And that is by James Reeves. More hand-dyed paper. And this is an authentic old vintage photograph of a bunch of guys here. And they're in this large kind of garden. There's trees, there's an old car, and what looks like a cabin behind them. So I'm sort of imagining this could be like a getaway to a cottage, and, you know, someone was taking a picture of all the men. And then we have this very stuffed cheek chipmunk. Individual all-time records for chipmunk's food carrying ability: 13 prune stones, 16 chickpea nuts, 31 corn kernels, 32 beech nuts, 65 sunflower seeds, or 145 grains of wheat. It reminds me of my hamsters when I was a kid. I was always so worried they were gonna like burst their cheeks, but it never happened. More of my basket weave coffee dyed paper. This is more of the language of flowers. We have lots of little plant images and sort of descriptions, symbols, and folklore about them. Some hand-dyed yellow paper with a brown fabric tab. The other side of that fun envelope, and again it flips open, and this time we have another nice big piece of the 49 and Market paper with great writing space on back. And that just tucks in here as well. And then over here, this little bird and willow herb fruit sort of, it's from a nature notebook. And then this is this beautiful ginkgo leaves, and this little wasp of some kind, or flying bug, I forget. Oh, lacewing. They're called the lacewing. I always forget their name. And then this is another page of the botanical book, and more of my eco-printed fabric. This is a rusted mordanted paper, not fabric, paper. And you can see all the flowers and things on this one. And then this little tuck spot here on this mushroom paper. And this is a journal card made with some mixed media. That's book spine, fabric. Never grow too dull to wonder at the mystery of the beauty of the earth, the sun, the stars, the sea. More hand-dyed yellow paper with eco-printed fabric stitched on the side. Eco-printed paper, watercolor paper. More of this is from a vintage field guide. We have the mallow family and some more hand-dyed paper. More of the field guide, rock rose and passion flower families. This matches that passion flower we saw at the center of the signature in the first folio. And then this is more of my eco-printed paper, hand-dyed paper with this gold webbing. Another lovely piece of mushroom paper with this fun little tuck spot with a snail and wood and all those things. This is from the Woodland kit. And then this is a piece of ephemera that I made with a folder. And all these vintage book images from a tree book. And inside of it is this little notebook with a bee and some sparkly fabric and some fun little papers and vellum to just, you know, draw and sketch little notes on. And that just tucks in here. Pull the fabric so it hangs like a little embellishment over everything. Like so. Then we have this pocket here with this little moose stamp, and then it's on this really pretty green sort of like clay paper. And then this is a journal card that I made, I think, for a Patreon how-to. This is the value of sunshine, and we have this little opening here, little porthole. More of the vintage field guide, Mallow family, and some graph paper. This is another of my eco-printed watercolor papers. This is from a children's book about seeds. Plants grow in the woods too. Plants grow in the fields, on the mountains, in wet places, and in dry places, but no one puts those seeds in the ground. Plants grow from seeds that go from place to place, through the air, over the ground, on top of water. There's some pussy willows and dandelions. Some of my hand-dyed paper. This is from an insect field guide, and I painted over the text for more writing space. I love writing on acrylic paint. And then this is from an Anne of Green Gables journal, and inside this pocket I made this envelope with the pattern of a dragonfly's wing, and inside is a hand-dyed index card. It's dyed green, and that just tucks in here, and then I left the flap out just so that you still get to see the preview of that little dragonfly wing, because it's really cool. Then some more hand-dyed yellow paper with a brown polka dot tab. This is a beautiful paper that I got, that I just love the Quebec kind of theme. And I made a pocket on this amazing, this is from like not a children's, but like a nature encyclopedia. And it had lots of amazing pages in it. Then this is one of my Junk Journal Mayhem pieces of ephemera. So these are all my illustrations, and I've put some acetate, 49 Market acetate yellow flowers in there. And then the background is actually the dryer lint from my studio dryer. So it's all made up of towels and things like that from my studio. And that was part of Junk Journal Mayhem, right, where we use some weird materials to make ephemera. Then we have this double pocket at the center of the signature. We take everything out and just look at that amazing meadow. Isn't that a beautiful illustration? And I've stitched some book spine and fabric to this side. And this side I have a collaged tag. It has some elements from my kit that I made for the sort of like the nature study of the year. It's my nature phenology kit that is on Patreon and Ko-fi. I think it's still on Etsy too. I'm slowly moving older kits from Etsy to Ko-fi and Patreon. So if it's not there on Etsy, you'll find it on Patreon in my shop, accessible to everyone, or on my Ko-fi. Again, you can get it there. But this one has some moths, and it says, April cold with dripping rain, willows and lilacs brings again the whistle of returning birds and trumpet lowing of the herds. And that is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And over here I have this, flowers with 4 to 7 petals, and flat-topped or rounded clusters. This is from like a big kind of laminated map of different flowers that I found. And then this is just a little tag you can write on from a tree book with a little eyelet. Some beautiful butterflies, hand-dyed paper with a lacy vintage dress tab. More of the Anne of Green Gables. There's a cottage there. Then some insect field guide. And this has been painted for writing space. Belly band from a tree book. And then this is a little piece of ephemera that I made from Book Page and collaging. And it has this little cabin on it. It says Wanderings Among the Wildflowers, How to See and How to Gather Them. And lots of collaging going on. There's a little shopping list. Apples, prunes, Rootman Victoria's, premium crackers, pantry cookies. That's a really old shopping list from like an old book or a recipe book. And then we have some fun die cuts on here of bees and plants and stamping. There's actually tons of like mixed media kind of going on with this piece. I think I did this early in my Patreon kind of days. I was showing how to make these on hand-dyed paper. Then this is from that children's seed book. It says, Let's Find Out How They Travel. Again, with the seeds, how they move and plant. This is a dandelion when it is yellow. This is a dandelion when it is white. Did you ever blow on a dandelion when it looks like this? More eco-printed paper. This is like a little 2-page kind of notebook that I made from these beautiful, I think they're from, what's her name? Janet something, her nature notebook. And they're blank on back for writing space. And I just stapled them together. And I plopped them right over this vintage graph paper as a little notebook. Just a simple little piece of ephemera. And more of the vintage field guide. This is the Violet family. More of this beautiful clay kind of green-gray paper. This is a pocket I made with one of our mascots here in Canada, the Canada Goose. I had to include her because, you know, you can't have a nature notebook from Canada without a Canada Goose. And more of this beautiful paper with the tree trunk. Then another of these, the daisy-like flowers and the umbrella-like clusters. So just some fun, like, field note kind of stuff. And then a little journal card here. This is from Medieval Mirage. And it has shells and a butterfly on it. And then this beautiful wreath shape of leaves. Some hand-dyed log paper with a little batik hand-dyed fabric tab. And more of that beautiful nature notebook. And it's got her journal entries back here, so I'll read one of them to you. August 25th. I went down to the river at 3 p.m. with the 2 children and friend who are staying, and their dog Toby. We had 2 little nets, a butterfly net, jam jar, and binoculars. No sketchbook today, weather windy and wet with sunny patches. Yesterday's torrential rain had flattened almost all of the riverside plants. However, I found a huge and beautiful black slug on the path. He had formed himself into a ball for protection, and as I had no notebook or paints, I put him in a leaf-lined box and took him up to the house to draw. I waded into the river with my boots and found something of interest for the children, a small caddisfly larva in a reed case. Oh, isn't that just so inspiring? You just want to kind of tuck your notebook and go out into a meadow somewhere. I just love the idyllic, you know, feel and sound of these journals that these people who studied botany and the natural world. I love reading their journals so much. Janet Marsh's Nature Diary, that's what this one is. This is a little mushroom pocket with a label there. And this is a collage fabric and paper tag. It says, every thistle in sight, as far as the eye could see, thousands upon thousands. Some hand-dyed papers and eco-printing. More of those papers and more of Janet Marsh's Nature Diary. We have a little toad here, you know, that makes me happy. This beautiful dragonfly. And more hand-dyed ledger with a woven tab up top. More of that beautiful paper. And then this lovely bird. This is from a book, a nature book, and I inked up the back for more writing space. It's a tip out. And then these beautiful fish. I had to include this for like a cottagey feeling book. And it flips, obviously. It's got a little tuck spot here with this label from Release the Craftins kit. Again, they have a really lovely kit of moths that you should check out. Then a little bird here in its nest. And this is a tall sort of journal tag with trees. And then this little tiny tag with flowers. Then over here, some birch trees to make this pocket with this owl. And then more of this amazing nature book imagery of a meadow. And then this is one of my little tags that I made a while back with some little mice in a cupboard. And I felt like that was pretty on point for a cottage. At least most cottages that I used to go to as a kid. You know, cottages have changed, right? Nowadays, everybody's staying in like Airbnbs and kind of glamping in fancy cottages. It's not like the rustic days of my childhood where you'd be marching out into the middle of the woods or something in a like no power kind of cottage. And then this is more hand-dyed paper. This is from a mushroom field guide. The death cap right up there, and more hand-dyed paper with a stitched on tab. This is a stray little thread, and this is from a a meadow sort of themed art book. This is, again, that meadow themed art book with that beautiful, I guess it might be a jackdaw. And then this is a tag that I made. It says, "There the underbrush grew so thickly," and it's got one of my chestnut girls on it. Fabric in the back. This is some wool locks and flowers. Book spine. Lots going on here. And I made these frames. I think I made that for some kind of a project here on YouTube, but I can't recall. And then this is another journal entry from August 7th that I turned into this pocket on a tab. "As I sat motionless, I glanced away from the river and saw a hare in the field above the bridge spanning the main river. It too remained quite motionless, and I was able to observe it through glasses. Its long ears were extended to catch the slightest sound, and a huge round eye was watching me carefully. We were both aware of each other's presence, and I could see the hare's nostrils dilate as he sniffed the air, no doubt alerted by my scent. He remained quite still for several minutes, this beautiful creature so well endowed by nature, with the means to get warnings of danger from predators. Then his ears went back, and off he went, bounding over the fields." I just love how she writes. I love the detail and how she brings you into her very, small moments. And also, I'm just reminded of my sweet little backyard bunny that I have. We've had him here for a couple of months now, and he's just growing up in the backyard, as every year we have bunnies. And so, yeah, it's nice to have him. And then some more of my eco-printed paper. Lots of leaves. Then this is another page of this screeching bird here from the Meadow book, and more of the painterly bird from the Meadow book. And then this is a little vintage embroidered flower, and it's on some silk stitched on. Another mushroom field guide, and the write-up on the deer mushroom or fawn agaric, and some hand-dyed paper. This is from, I believe, Tim Holtz, and it's a little tuck spot with roses on the butterfly paper. And then I included this illustration of this beautiful salmon. That's from another nature book. And then on here, I collaged with some really old book here. And then this is a little tuck spot with a spider and its web and a moth. All sorts of little hidden nature bits on there. And this is a tag that I recently made using my granulating watercolors with an owl. This is from a children's book, and I just absolutely love these squirrel images and these birds and this bird feeder. It's just the most beautiful illustration. Then some eco-dyed fabric stitched on the side of this hand-dyed paper. This little fox here. Another of those journal entries from Janet Marsh. This one's from August the 9th. Talks about caterpillars on her dwarf beans. I won't read the whole thing. This is from a vintage book about trees. This is actually a freebie from Junk Journal Studio from her most recent collection. It's the yellow add-on to her botanical collection. I can't remember the name. I've done my most recent design team video for her is using this kit, and it's beautiful. But this was a leftover from that, and I wanted to include it in here because it was so on point for the theme. Then this little tuck spot here on this vintage book page about trees. We've got some trees at the bottom there. And then this is a vintage postcard, The Approach to the Gap of Dunlow, Killarney, Kerry Island. And this was sent in 1969. And it's just a lovely old postcard. Now we know why travelers always will return to Ireland. We are in love with it. I have had the delightful cruises from and so on. I won't read the whole thing because sometimes it's hard for me to quickly read the handwriting of people, but I thought that was a nice touch for a book like this, for a cottage kind of book, maybe documenting some travel. Some hand-dyed paper with a green cotton tab. More of the Woodland collection paper. It's just so pretty. Magical tree. Some more hand-dyed paper with book spine stitched on the side. This little mushroom tuck spot on a vintage book page. And this has, this is a Amity Bloom tag, pocket tag. It has this little image of a toad inside, or sorry, a frog inside. Tucks in there. Then this is a little bird nestled in here. And then inside is this is like a journal card, but you know, this is actually a teacher's material. I have a bunch of these, and this one says knowledge, draw 2 different birds of the same family. So it's all these like instructional kind of illustration cards that were part of some teaching supply that I got in an estate auction. And then this is more of my hand-dyed paper with batik fabric that I dyed. Another of those beautiful squirrels just leaping across here. And then on this side we have this dog, and there is a pocket here that I meant to put something in. Where did I put that something? I know I had it. I will fix that after. I have something that needs to go in here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. This little album right there, that little bit. Then over here we have this beautiful leafy paper that was a gift from my friend Heather. And then this little hedgehog with mushrooms, little tuck spot here with a label. And then this is an owl from a cross stitch book or a needlework book, and that's raffia going through 2 eyelets, and they're like these little notebooks, and it's just got different fun stationery papers inside. This is some seed paper. You can see little seeds in it. Just little writing papers, super fun, vintage stationery, handmade paper. I had a lot of fun making those. So that tucks in there. And then more hand-dyed paper. This is a little beaver or an otter swimming along there. This is from the Fishes book. I forget the name of the author, but it's a beautiful illustration. We have this little ticket with a moon. And then you can see sort of some nice nature back there. And then this is a little leafy botanical kind of notebook that just goes in here. It's got a few little pages in it. And then this bird from the Woodland kit on the dyed ledger with the gold netting. Photograph of a moth. And on back here, this little bird in her nest with this little bird on this vintage book, sort of gray scale landscape. And then this tag inside with all sorts of, we got lace and all sorts of fun little bits and bobs, just naturey things. Some brown paper. And a little coffee dyed pocket with a grasshopper and acorns. Bird. And then this little woodland tag. Another lovely bird just looking for goodies. And some more hand-dyed ledger with a fabric tab. This was a little cabinet that I created in maybe a Tuesday 10, and I thought it was so perfect for this cottagey kind of book. And these little doors open, and then I've just put one of my laminated leaves in here. And then this, I think, is from Tim Holtz. It's looking down Jacob's Ladder Trail, Massachusetts. And it's just a beautiful naturey trail kind of piece. And then this is a 49 in Market piece of stationery, great for writing on. And then the other side of that lovely kind of bog that otter was swimming in. More hand-dyed paper. And then at the back here we have this is a little enchanter cottage. So this is all made by me. I made these in a tutorial video, probably one of my use your books videos, I think. I was inspired by another artist to make these, hand painted all these flowers, and there are little clipped on beaded chains at the bottom here, and that just hangs at the bottom of the book. And then we have an upper tuck pocket here. And then this little illustration of a raccoon, a nice little piece of stationery from a book. On that lovely leafy paper from Heather. Then that just tucks here, and you just line up the bottom with the bottom of the book so the beads can hang out. The back is again more of that beautiful manor paper, like that cottage cabin kind of cabinet feel. And then I've added a little flower here, and then my seal with some eco printed fabric and my signature and date. So that's the end of this lovely book, Willa Still. So if you're seeing this video, as I mentioned, it will be up in my shop. And I always link my Patreon and my shop down below in the description box, and I will go into where this bookmark is and cover the back side of that lovely journal card. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.